now, Professor Dolan, please take the floor. You have 30 minutes. Let's go.
Okay, so thank you very much. Yeah, good morning from Madrid. I normally live in Barcelona, but in the new future of work, I live in Barcelona, I work in Madrid, and from Madrid, and I commute from time to time to Montreal. I am one of the what we call the modern family. You know, the parents leave the nest, so my children, my grandchildren are in Canada. Thank you for joining me. I'll ask. I also want to thank really Michel, because albeit the fact that we never met, with his leadership style, even though we talk virtually, I feel like I know him for years, you know, and so it's a very nice feeling to be the new kid on the block, but still feel that you've been around for more than just the few weeks or months that we are together. So thank you so much, Michel, with your leadership style. Makes me feel very good about it. I'm an old professor, and you know, with professor, as you know, it's risky to give me the microphone because I never stop, because I have a passion. So I asked Professor Kalika, please give me the sign 3 minutes or something like this when my time is up. I also know that in half an hour, I will not be able to cover everything that I want to cover. So what I will do what I call an appetizer. I'll talk about different themes and different points. And obviously, if you get in touch with me or even with the Institute, the Business Institute, the PowerPoint are at your disposal. We can get you, and we can give you even more information about what I'm going to talk about. Let me just give you a pretext why the future of work. So I used to be a professor in many universities, many business schools in the world. You know, I used to teach at the University of Montreal, McGill in Canada, and then in Boston, in Colorado, in the US. And then I moved to Spain about 20 years ago. And my job was to help a good business school do the leap and jump from being a good school to being an excellent school. And basically, we needed to do research. So I had to teach the professor how to do research and how to publish. And it was a beautiful, beautiful job because this is my passion. After I've done it for a couple of years, they asked me, what else do you want to do? So in ESADE, which is a good business school, I told them, I like to talk about the future. And when you talk about the future, you take a risk, but I'm a risk taker. So I don't mind to take a risk, because when you talk about the future, you never know if some of your prediction will come through or not. However, I had a very interesting experience, because in around 2010, I wrote a book with a Swiss futurologist, and it's called Beyond, Business and Society in Transformation. And the book was published, and we talk about a lot what will happen in the world. And actually, 90% of all our prediction came through 10 years later. We talk about the epidemic. We didn't know it's going to be COVID, but go back to the book, you'll find it. And by the way, the book has been published in a dozen languages, so including Russian and Chinese and German and so on and so forth. It's called Beyond, with Mario Reich. He is the lead author. I am the second author. We talk about the fact that the new type of war in the world, that not military, but a couple of terrorists, small groups can cause a lot of damage, and it's happening. We talk about the possibility of nuclear explosion. It happened in Japan, and so on and so forth. So based on this experience, I decided to venture into the future of work. So I created a chair. And in the chair, what we did something that is in between the traditional academic rigor and a little bit like Jules Verne, or what we say in Spanish, Julio Verne. So it's a little bit science, the rigor of science, but there is a speculation. We expand about what will happen in the future. So in this work, I like to take you into what I believe will happen. And here is my underlying hypothesis in the future of work. Number one, we, society in general, are not really prepared for the new future of work. not the universities, not the government, not the corporation, and not we personally. If you are today, you are a grandfather like me, or you are a father, and your child asks you to do, what should I learn in order to succeed in the future? And you don't know what to say because you don't know exactly what will be the kind of profession that people will
Professor
have.
Dolan, Professor Dolan, the slide don't move. Is it normal?
No, no, it's
Okay,
normal because I'm still in the opening. Now I'm moving.
okay, that's okay.
All right, so this is not moving. I'll try to good for the hint. The hint is go a little bit faster. So what we say, we decide to create a think tank, and the think tank surround myself with some of the big gurus in the field that I was lucky to know. They include Mario Reich. He is a futurologist from is housed in Zurich in Switzerland. Dave Ulrich, of course, and many of you know, he is at the University of Michigan. He also has a private company, RBL Group. And Chad Albrecht used to be my doctoral student in Sade. Now he created 10 years before the epidemic with his two brothers, the best textbook, virtual textbook company in the world. It's called My Educator. So if you go to look at myeducator.com, you can see what they're doing. So they have the state of the art really help to professors and to students to do interactive book. So these people helped me a lot. And in my own way, I said that in order to prepare successfully for the new future, I learned over the years how to leave apart complex theoretical conceptual model that we in the academia we are used to and convert it in something that I don't know if it exists. In English, the word doesn't exist. In Spanish, it's called sencillo. I don't know if it exists even in French, which it's not simple, because simple means that you take something complex and you do it simple, but sencillo is beyond simple. You just do it in a way that people can relate to it, but you capture the complexity of what you're trying to do. So all my models today, most of my models, not all my models, have only 3 dimension, 3 axes. I reduce this into 3 because for one reason or another, people retain the 3, and I want people to retain it. So what I say that if you want to succeed in the new future of work landscape, we need to develop a clear compass made of the following. I call it triaxial configuration. It's triaxial because the model is not symmetric. Depending on the context, one axis can have more impact than the other one, but you need all 3 of them in order to succeed. Number 1, you need to have a general assessment of your talent and your competences. You need really to get naked, look at the mirror and say, what do I have? Because talent is very generic form. We all have talent. The question is, talent for what? Talent with whom? Talent where? Those are very important questions. So number 1, to do some talent assessment. Number 2, you need to have passion, whatever you do. Because what I learned is that if you do anything with no passion, it's not sustainable. So keep on and fueling the passion is very, very important. And number 3, you have to be ethical in whatever you do. Because if you are not ethical, if you cut edges and you do it, then if you, as you said, you take the money and run, it's not going to be sustainable also. So based on these 3 assumptions, I've developed the 3, as you see, 3 now is 3 dimensions of where are we heading. And I wrote a lot of books about it. Some of the books, the latest one with Dave Ulrich, is called The Future of Work. The English version is available only in My Educator. This is the book of Beyond that I wrote with Mario Reich. And then when you talk about the future, I like to invent new terms because you cannot employ current terms to talk about future events. You need to invent new terms. Cyberness, for example, I wrote it with Rian Eisler and Mario Reich. Cyberness is a positive state of the future. It's not cyber age. It's a new term, by the way, cyberness. And cyberness for us, because I'm sick and tired of the pessimism of a lot of people that said with the artificial intelligence technology, people will not have jobs. We come to the end. I'm trying to fuel optimism. So in my speeches about the future, I talk about positive aspects of the future. So there are three main drivers, forces that will change the landscape of the future. One of them, of course, is technology. Look what we are doing right now. We wouldn't have dreamed even doing it 10 years ago. So, and this includes technology in a broader term. This includes artificial intelligence. This includes a lot of things that will change everything. And we don't know exactly even what will happen. This is number one. Number two, even though Donald Trump is not letting us do it, but we still live in a global world. And the global world has no frontiers. The frontiers are artificial. Education, training, development, and even work has no frontiers. When I trained my MBA student in the Saudi, they pay a lot of money for the education. And they told me, Professor, you're also an expert in HR. Help me to improve my curriculum. I challenged them. I told them, why do you need curriculum? He said, what do you mean? I need to look for work. And I said, why do you look for work? He said, what do you mean? And I tell them, why don't you create work? Because today we need also to talk about creation. And what you need to create work is a computer, an idea, and the world, and to have some competence to talk to the world. So this is the second driver. We live in a global economy. There are no frontiers, and especially in whatever we are doing. And bravo, Professor Kalika, for your initiative, and it's 10 years. Hopefully, it's going to be many more years. This is what the world needs. And the third one is we need, and this is difficult, is to be permanently creative. That's not easy because a company, when they are successful, an individual when they're successful, they don't want to rock the boat because they believe that if they're successful today, they're going to be successful tomorrow. Big mistake. You need to keep on creating. So what you need to do is create a culture where people will be reinforced to create. And creativity is not easy because if you remember, there is a pendulum. If you really create, so the distance between real creation and stupidity is very close because if you want to think out of the box, you need to take risk. So those are the three drivers. So what we do about it, the workplace is really transformed. It's transforming faster, even due to the technology, to the globalization, and also to the societal shift. We live in this kind of world, and we need to have a compass. Now, I talk normally in my speeches about double compass, internal compass, and I write and I research a lot about values because the internal compass is our value system. So if we have our value system in place, and there is also the triaxial model of values, I will not get into it, but we need internal compass, but we also need external compass. Now, by 2030, 85 million jobs will disappear, but 97 million new roles would emerge. What I'm saying is don't fear change. Change could be dangerous for those that refuse to change. Change could be permanent for those that do manual work because robots will do by far better job than people. And what I say sometimes, robots, for the moment, they're not unionized. So they can work 24 hours even a day. So manual work. But intellectual work, don't worry. Intellectual work, the robots will not compete with us. What we need to know, we need to adopt a plan of preparing for what is coming. Obviously, automation and computer and digital literacy is very, very important. So we work in the gig economy. The gig economy, at least the data that I have is from the United States. 86 million Americans will be freelancers by 2027. Freelancers means that they will create jobs, they will be entrepreneur, or they will have what I call, what I do today, portfolio employment. They work 40% in one job, another 40% in another job, and maybe 20% for themselves. There is a big issue of inequality. Europe right now is and some other place in the world is facing an immigration crisis. By the way, we talked about it also in the book Beyond. And, you know, there is no bullet in the world that can stop, let's say, all the Africans that one day they decide to go, to walk north, to go to Europe. So what we need to do in the world that we live is to try to create more equality, to try to develop the people that are underdeveloped so that they can stay, they can have good quality of life. By the way, this is beautiful for sustainable economics. So the challenge ahead are numerous. One of them that I like to talk about because I started my voyage in my personal life in the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota, where I studied, and I found out that a lot of executives that are very happy and very well paid develop heart disease. So I started to understand burnout. That's what brought me also to Montreal, because Hans Selye used to be the big guru of stress, heard about me, and he asked me to come and work with him in Montreal. I didn't know even at that time, in Quebec, they speak French. So I learned French when I worked and I lived 22 winters in Montreal. You know, in Canada, we don't count the years, we count only the winters that we survive, and 22 winters in Montreal. But stress and burnout are a real issue. Stress and burnout can affect people with passion. Stress and burnout can affect people that suffer, that have uncertainty. And if you add to the uncertainty of work, uncertainty that you have to combine work and leisure or work and home, it's a major issue. 40%, according to the American Psychological Association. I believe it's going to be even higher. So what we need to do, we need to develop tools and ways to help people convert stress into something that I call resilience. Resilience, again, is becoming popular, but I happen to believe that any concept, and that's why we're trying to develop the doctoral, the DBA in the future of work. Any concept that you want to develop that you cannot define, you cannot measure, and you cannot have a methodology where you can apply it is worth nothing. So in the future of work, the future DBA students that will work with us, they will choose what they want to work on, but they will have to work on the three things that any change agent needs. They need to work on concept, on measures, and tools, methodology. Those are the absolutely essence of any DBA thesis. So stress and burnout might be one of the challenge. There is a bias also in hiring tools and data privacy concern. Now, today, you have money. You don't know what the big brother will know and you do with your money. You don't know what are the companies that are following your visa movement will do. There are big issues that society will have to confront in the future. In the HR field, for example, when you used to select a person, you select them for a specific job. But what do you do if 3 years later the job is changing? So you need to have the kind of person that will succeed in the first one, but also the potential to be trained, succeed in the second, the third. Basically, we are talking about life learning. And that's why what we are doing here, it's amazing. Because once you get your degree, it's not over. We need to have continuous development. And that's what, we have no escape, by the way. I just want to wet my. And so I call it opportunities. I don't call it threat. We need an agile leaders that understand that if their employees take risk, they should tolerate failure. Because when you take a risk, you take failure, failure should be part of your learning experience. Not all leaders are willing to do it, and it's a pity. Company needs to embrace flexibility, empathy, and tolerate failure. There is an issue of reskilling. Reskilling, companies like Amazon, for example, they are going to spend 1.2 billion in reskilling. And the reskilling is going to become permanent process. We need to learn how to work with machine. Now, I understand that we have problems to work with each other. And there are a lot of books about talking about teams and so on and so forth. Today, we need not to fear machine, but we need to know how to collaborate with them, how to work with IE equipped machine. This would be a very interesting challenge in the future, how to do this collaboration. And there are some new terms that will emerge as part of this collaboration. I am getting closer. I don't know how I'm doing with time. I'm getting closer to my conclusion. Is the future work is human-centric. We need not forget that not everything is technical. We are not robots. We are not never be extension of the robots. We need to take humans are unique. All humans have talent. We need to find out what are the talent and how to help them flourish in the context that the company needs and the people needs. You know, it goes back to the question that many people are trying to avoid. Why do we have organization in our society? Do we have organization to serve people, or do we have people to serve organization? I think reality is somewhere in between, and we should never forget about it. I also predict that in the future, this is part of our prediction, in the future, a lot of us will not have the traditional way that we call work. Work is going to be something else, not going to be the kind of exchanges that we know today. So we're talking about lifelong learning. We're talking about inclusive policies, and we're talking about ethical innovation. We need to embrace change. Change should not be something that we should fear. I'm teaching myself today how to use artificial intelligence in my book writing. I've never, nobody taught me how to do it, but I found out that if I do it correctly, I am about 50% faster. I normally publish 2 books every year. Now I can publish maybe 4 books a year. And this is my passion because I want to touch the spirit of people. And one way of me doing it is by writing articles. Yeah, right. I write every 2 months. I have articles in the European Business Review. And if you read some of my articles, and it's not a promotion because it's free, so I don't feel like I'm selling something. You go to I have a column at the European Business Review, and you can download all my articles. Or if you go to the website of the Global Future of Work, or in the future, it will be probably in the BCI somewhere in depository that we can publish it. So we should embrace change. We should invest in people, not only in machine, and we should do some times to imagine, to use our creativity to meditate and to imagine. I want to thank Michel for the trust in me, in the people that we work. I think we can develop an amazing Doctor of Business Administration with the angle of the future of work. It's very multidisciplinary because you can approach future work from values, from health, from whatever you want, as long as you are going to maintain the academic rigor that will be exactly the criteria of the BSI. And I think our big job today, and that's why I'm appealing to people that are listening to me, or do you know someone that wants to do a thesis in the area connected to the future of work, to get in touch with us, and we will be delighted. The program is all set. The program is all ready. What we need right now is to get our candidates. And this is, I'm maybe ambitious. I don't want to mention numbers because this is a commitment. But I think if I talk to you in a year from now, I'll show you that there are a lot of candidates interested in doing DBA with a focus on the future of work. I can guarantee the passion of myself and the people surrounding me that I collected to be professor in this area.
Thank you very much, Professor Simon Dolan, for your vision, for your passion, and for respecting also the time. You just finished on time. We have a few minutes eventually to take some question. Do somebody who would like to take the floor and ask a question? You can do it. You can now open your microphone. But I have a question, Professor Simon Dolan. How do you see, you have been talking about artificial intelligence. How do you see the influence of IE on DBA thesis?
No, I think that, what we need to do, I would encourage DBA candidates to use the artificial intelligence as much as they can. However, they should always make sure that they reference their sources, because what we need to know is to what extent the context came readily available and it's not coming from them, and to what extent is there. If you look at my own presentation, what I did at the very beginning, I said that all the illustrations for my presentations were generated by Chat GPT. I am not an illustrator, but I managed the illustration. I said, no, I don't like this one. Why don't you add me more people? Why don't you do this? So eventually it was a collaboration between myself and the program that I used, and this was the result. But the program, eventually, when I finished it all, they tell me that the copyrights are mine because I interacted for each illustration in a sense that I told the program what I need and what I want to portray. So I cannot say that I have the copyright, but it's not, I'm not an artist. I wish I would have 10% of the capacity to do whatever, but all my illustration for this presentation were generated by IA technology. And I noted it, a note has been added to make sure that everyone understands. It's very hard to find someone in the world that will have an identical, similar, yes, but identical, I don't think so, because each presentation went through a couple of iterations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all depends. So I don't know if I gave you the answer. I think we're struggling with it, and we are struggling. I also believe there is going to be an intelligence, artificial intelligence program that will tell us, that will be able to tell us, detect what will be the percentage of original work and what is the percentage that has been taken from outside. But it's a risk. Right now, I think until we are settled, we may take some risk. It's an issue, no doubt about it. Maybe some of my colleagues.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Dolan. It's our point of view. Our students, we encourage them to use intelligence artificial and to use all the tools that are available, but always specify where does it come from. Always specify the sources. And of course, our students, they have to interact with all the tools available to create new knowledge. Thank you very much for this challenge to present in 15 minutes a so large topic. We stop now for the English version, and we will move to another link, Simon, in French in 10 minutes. Thank you to all of you, and bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye now.